Imagine you spend 2 years making a movie, you cast a $200 million production, you film the whole thing, you wrap, you start editing, and then your lawyers call and they tell you you have to delete the entire ending, not reshoot a scene, not trim a line, destroy the whole third act. Because buried inside a 30-year-old legal document was a clause that nobody read. That is exactly what happened to the Michael Jackson biopic, and that's only the beginning of this story. Because while Lionsgate was scrambling to rebuild their movie from the inside out, his own family was quietly choosing sides. Some showed up, some stayed silent, and one of his own children called the film full of lies. This is the story behind the story. On April 24th, 2026, Michael, the official biopic of the King of Pop, opened in cinemas worldwide. The numbers were staggering. 97 million in its first weekend in the US alone, 217 million globally. The biggest opening weekend in the history of biographical films ever. Bigger than Elvis, bigger than Bohemian Rhapsody, bigger than Straight Outta Compton. Director Antoine Fuqua, the man behind Training Day and The Equalizer, helmed the project. Starring in the title role, Michael Jackson's own nephew, Jafar Jackson, son of Jermaine. The film traces Michael's life from a small house in Gary, Indiana, a steel worker father, 9 children, 1 bathroom, all the way to the Wembley Stadium stage of the Bad World Tour in 1988. Critics were brutal, Rotten Tomatoes 37%, but audiences gave it an A- on CinemaScore. They loved it. And that right there, that gap between what critics saw and what fans felt, is the entire argument at the center of this story. Because here's the thing nobody in those cinema seats was thinking about. Almost everything they were watching had been rebuilt. To understand what happened, we have to go back, way back. 1993, Michael Jackson is the biggest star on the planet. And then, a 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler accuses him of child sexual abuse. The Lapt launches an investigation. Search warrants are executed at Neverland Ranch. In one of the most humiliating moments of Jackson's life, police photograph his body, including his genitals, to compare with the boy's description. Jackson denies everything. In 1994, he settles the civil case out of court for a reported $23 million. He is never criminally charged, but buried inside that settlement was a clause that, according to Rolling Stone, barred any film or commercial project from depicting or even mentioning Jordan Chandler. Now fast forward to 2024. Lionsgate is deep into production on Michael. Director Fuqua has already wrapped principal photography. The original script, according to multiple reports, it opened and closed with the Chandler story. It was the film's spine, its beating heart. Fuqua had even shot a full action sequence recreating the 1993 raid on Neverland Ranch. And then, their attorneys found the clause. The estate's own co-executor, John Branca, has been blamed for missing it. The lawyers who negotiated the original 1994 deal, Johnny Cochran and Howard Weitzman, are both dead. They can't explain anything. When Chandler's former attorney, Larry Feldman, was told what the film had done, he said, simply, "That's exactly what they couldn't do." So what happened next? In June 2025, over a year after filming wrapped, the entire cast reassembled for 22 days of reshoots. A deleted scene that has since been described features Jackson alone, staring into a mirror, police lights flashing through the window behind him. That scene is gone. The film now ends in 1988 with triumph, not tragedy. Michael Jackson on top of the world, performing Bad at Wembley, 72,000 people screaming his name. And here is the question nobody can stop asking. Will the sequel have to face what this film ran away from? Now here's where it gets genuinely complicated. Because while all of this was happening, the legal chaos, the reshoots, the $25 million in additional costs, the Jackson family was quietly fracturing over the film's very existence. Let's go through them one by one. Katherine Jackson, Michael's 95-year-old mother, loved it. She told Jafar he had embodied Michael. For a woman who has spent 17 years protecting her son's legacy, this film was a gift. Jermaine Jackson, Jafar's father, was fully supportive, his son playing his brother, his family's story told on the biggest possible stage. Prince Jackson, Michael's son, went even further. He's listed as an executive producer on the film. He showed up to the LA premiere in a dark suit and red armband, a tribute to one of his father's signature accessories. But then, Janet Jackson, arguably the second most famous Jackson alive, was asked to appear in the film. LaToya Jackson confirmed it publicly at the premiere. Janet declined. No statement, no explanation, just no. Director Fuqua later said, "You're telling somebody's life, you want to make sure that they're happy." And Janet was reportedly enraged after a private family screening. She didn't go to the premiere. Randy Jackson, another sibling, also refused to be involved. Industry insiders suggest he is showing solidarity with Janet. Rebby Jackson, the eldest sibling, same. Absence, silence. And then there's Paris Jackson, Michael's 28-year-old daughter. She didn't just stay silent. She went public. When actor Coleman Domingo, who plays Joe Jackson in the film, told People magazine that Paris and her brother were very much in support of the film, she went straight to Instagram. "Don't be telling people I was helpful on the set of a movie I had 0% involvement in. I read one of the first drafts of the script and gave my notes about what was dishonest and didn't sit right with me, and when they didn't address it, I moved on with my life." Then she went further. "A big section of the film panders to a very specific section of my dad's fandom that still lives in the fantasy, and they're gonna be happy with it. The narrative is being controlled. There are a lot of inaccuracies, and there are a lot of full-blown lies." She skipped the premiere. Same family, same man, completely opposite conclusions. So here's where we land. Michael 2026 is officially the most successful biographical film ever made. It has $238 million worldwide and climbing. A sequel is almost certainly coming. And the sequel cannot do what this film did. If Part 2 picks up in 1989, it has to face the 1993 allegations. It has to face Leaving Neverland. It has to face the new lawsuit filed this year by a family claiming 4 siblings were assaulted. It has to face the question Paris Jackson is already asking publicly. The Jordan Chandler settlement bars his depiction, but it doesn't bar the story. It doesn't bar the question. And Coleman Domingo, who plays Joe Jackson, has already dropped this hint in an interview. There's a possibility of a part 2 that may deal with some things that happened afterward. May deal with. They don't know yet. Or maybe they do, and they're not ready to say. The most watched biopic in history ended in 1988. On purpose. Because 1989 is where the story gets complicated. And complicated doesn't sell $97 million opening weekends. But here's what I keep thinking about. Paris Jackson, the man's own daughter, sat out the premiere of a $200 million film about her father's life because she says it isn't honest. And the audience that packed those cinemas, they gave it an A-. So the question isn't just what did the film leave out? The question is, do we even want to know? And if the answer is no, what does that say about us? Leave your thoughts in the comments. This has been Allegedly Ours. I'll see you in the next one.